topics, and you kind of, when we discussed about what we could talk about, you mentioned something that I thought was a hot topic, and the hot topic that you mentioned is, what is the future of Agile? Mm-hmm. Care to expound a little bit?
Yeah. So the audience might have heard some things, read some things. Some recent news over the past couple of years that there have been some weird things going on in the Agile space. And some organizations are actually letting go of their Agile roles. Like, got rid of all their, I know several organizations got rid of all of their Scrum Masters, every single one of them, right? Got rid of
I know a lot of organizations that never had them in the first place.
There's that too, yeah. But I wouldn't call them, they were Agile and now you get the point, right? Yeah. So this is a weird little thing that's going on, right? So the industry is definitely changing. Now, I personally don't view it as a bad thing that they're taking these steps, as long as they're doing them for the right reasons, right? If they're not saying we're no longer going to do Agile, or if they're using getting rid of people in a role as an excuse when they're really just laying people off, those are not the right reasons to get rid of roles.
So you see, a number of organizations that are letting their Agile roles go.
Yes.
What are they going to? Are they not doing projects anymore, or what model are they going back to?
So interesting, what I've heard from these organizations is their response is, we are already so Agile as an organization that we don't need the roles.
That is such a lame excuse.
It's kind of like saying we are Agile so we don't need project managers. It's the same thing to me. Okay. Now, let me temper that a little bit, because quite honestly, I think the role, I'm going to say something that's likely going to get me in a little bit of trouble with the Agile.
Good. I love those statements.
I think the Scrum Master role is overutilized, right? There has been
underutilized, once again, depending on, it goes in both extremes.
Well, overutilized meaning that we try to have too many Scrum Masters. This is really what I mean. Sorry, I should be more specific. So in the past, there's been a view that every team must have a Scrum Master. Yeah. And it should be a 1-to-1 ratio. I've never really fully agreed with that concept.
It really depends on the size of the project.
Yeah, exactly. And also the maturity of the team.
Yeah,
if the team has been doing Agile for 7 years, do they really need a Scrum Master?
No.
They don't need one, right? Yeah. So, my view has always been that the team needs someone to facilitate improvement, them becoming a more Agile team, facilitating better behaviors, better process, facilitating the process itself. We need somebody to help with that concept. But over time, part of that person's job as, Scrum Master, or whatever you want to call them, is to make it so that they really shouldn't be necessary anymore.
Okay.
So the team is doing it themselves, right? If the team is thinking that way and they're just behaving well and trusting each other, then the need of a Scrum Master is actually very little, right? Now, that doesn't go well with the narrative that, hey, let's build a whole bunch of Scrum Masters. You've got a job progression when part of the job is to make yourself not have a job, right? And at least for that particular team anyway.
Yeah.
So I think they've gone too much with Scrum Masters.
Yeah.
Way too many of them.
Yeah.
And they've manufactured so many Scrum Masters coming out of the certification, engine.
Well, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna get pissed people off now. I only bothered to do, we won't name the organization. I only bothered to do the certified Scrum Master. It was a great course. The trainer was sensational. He'd written a book. Lots of giveaways, 30 people in a room for 2 days, good food, fun exercises. We got to cheat on the exam, which was called Agile.
Yeah.
I didn't, because I found it confusing to have all these people talk. I went outside and finished the exam. But my impression was, this was my hardcore. I really felt bad for about 28 people of the 30 people, because my impression was there were 2 people in the room who actually knew how to apply what they just covered. That was me and one other person. And the only reason why we did is because we had already been doing it in some formal or informal sense already. And all the course provided was a formalized framework and vocabulary to put it into context.
Yeah.
But the other 28%, if I were to ask them, hey, listen, give me how do you create story points, they wouldn't be able to do it.
Of course. Absolutely. And even people coming out of it, after passing the exam, and let's be honest about something also. Let's just a real quick point. Story points are not part of Scrum. Not in the Scrum guide, but they teach it as part of it. I'm not saying don't use story points. I'm saying I have a lot of problems with the way they teach Scrum.
I still prefer duration and effort, whether people like it or not.
You can use that as well, right? whatever works for you.
Yeah.
But you know that my own story when I took my certification, went in, took the 2-day class. You know, good teacher, good knowledge. I gained a lot of information, and got the certification. All cool. Went off, did my first project, and failed miserably. I mean, just absolute failure. And it was at that point where I realized I absolutely don't know anything about this.